Welcome to the Vision Creator Podcast, from corporate to creator, with your hosts, Pamela Martino and Debbie Williams.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Vision CreatHER. Thank you for coming to another episode of two ladies who just like to talk about things that are happening around the world that impact us and also impact the people we love. Today we have a series of hot topics we're going to talk about, which is on everybody's mind. Like, what's on your mind? So there are three things that we've concluded that's on everybody's mind. And the first is war, right? We are in war right now, right? Who thought in 2026, or who knew in 2026 that we will be at war? Gas prices. People are is feeling it, right? We go back and forth to work every day. We need our vehicles. And so, the prices are impacting everything.
Mhm.
And then the last thing that we wanted to touch on is the job market, because that's a hot topic that everybody's talking about. The job markets, either getting a job, can't get a job, or hate the job that they're on. So the job market is a hot topic today. So let's kick it off. Let's kick it off with the war. So what do you got, Pamela, about the war?
It's on everyone's mind, like you said, and it's hard to get away from. You turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, it's a constant reminder of where we are. And, no one likes to see people in a state of fighting and people getting killed, whether it be American or the civilians in the other countries or what have you. That is someone's loved one, right? And so it's very upsetting. And so I think the things that I've been hearing about the war is that no one can really put a finger pinpoint on why we are here and why.
Yeah,
So that's been a hot topic in itself, and just how that has impacted gas prices. And so it's not just an isolated event. We have the
yeah,
war, and now the war is causing gas prices to be high. We were told that, the war was about to be over and gas prices
yeah,
would come back
yeah,
down. And so that
yeah,
doesn't seem like the end is in sight. And so,
yeah.
we all are being impacted by, the war or the results of the war.
Yep. Yep, because you got also there's the draft, right? So people are concerned about their young children, especially their young men being drafted into war that people don't feel we should be involved. So we know enrolling our children into a war is a very scary time. And then what about the ones that's already enrolled, right? That are being pulled into it. So the fear of sending off your child and never seeing, or your husband or your wife, and never seeing them again. So, just from a humanity standpoint, we just want to say we see you, we hear you. We're praying for the military. We're praying for the families of the military, and prayerfully, this too shall pass at some moment. We hopefully, God willing, this will pass at some moment.
Yeah. And
So
peace.
gas
Praying for
prices.
peace. Praying for
Yeah,
peace as
praying for
well. Let's
peace,
add
peace
that.
in the Middle East,
Yeah.
peace around the world,
Yes.
right? And so, like what the Pope said, peace and love, and for everybody, right? So, gas prices, right? So, airline tickets, I've heard they shot up significantly. So, if you're traveling, thank God I got my traveling out the way earlier this year. But if you're traveling by boats, by plane, by car, whatever vehicle, I heard the prices are astronomical. Um, you know, um, thank God I got a hybrid, so I can keep recharging up my battery. But some people don't have that luxury, right? Someone told me they spent $90 filling up their truck, which is probably double from what they're used to filling up. So I don't know, Pamela, what are you seeing in terms of gas prices
Yeah,
and
so I had to get my car serviced yesterday, and so I asked um my tech. Okay, that's not but anyway, I asked my service rep. I said, "Can I put can I put 87 in my car?" He was like, "No." So
oh
so I have like a little, it's a smaller car, but it's, considered like a sports car. And so yeah, so 87 is not allowed. And so I will be sticking with the 93. And so the new kind of thing that we've been doing as a family is don't let your car get below half a tank.
hmm
Because even at a half a tank and filling up, I'm at like $60.
yeah.
My car is not even a big car. But anyways, just, evidence of the gas prices increasing. And so now we're heading into the summer months. And so we've been talking about traveling and vacations. And, of course, that's going to be on everyone's mind. I actually saw on the news, I think United Airlines, they're actually reducing the number of flights
Yeah.
because of the expense of gas. And so flights that they had, like I think overnight flights and some other criteria that they had, that now that they're reducing their number of flights just because of gas prices.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point too. If you travel a lot, like if you even if you just make errands on a regular basis, right? I know I've noticed I've started consolidating my errand running now. I try to limit it to uh you know something that's just something that's really critical, really of urgency. Other than that, we're gonna park it, we're gonna make it work, we're gonna make it do what it got to do, and we're gonna cut down all that, running around because gas is expensive. And
Yeah.
even food prices are starting to rise again because of the shipping costs, right? So this gas prices have far-reaching uh, consequences as a
Yeah.
result of this war. So
Yeah, and,
um,
and, and speaking of food prices, when I was visiting my son last weekend, I went to the supermarket and just buy some things for the house. I was going to cook for him so he would have some food to eat. And it was the Harris Teeter brand chicken, and it was like
mhm.
six boneless breasts. It was $30. I
Oh
said,
my
"What
God.
happened?" I said, "What happened?" I said, "No, and I'm not buying this." So I put that back, and I actually was able to find like Purdue or whatever. I mean, I had to buy two packs, and it was not significantly much less, but it was like
Yeah,
$25 versus 30. But
yeah,
I just thought, what in the world? I mean, that is huge. That is,
yeah,
you know, for one item, $30
yeah,
for one item. So, I know everyone is feeling it, right? And there's
yeah,
not, no matter what class of people you consider yourself to be a part of, we are all feeling the increased prices. It's just, it's inevitable. So,
yes,
have compassion for those who may not be in a situation that can adjust when prices adjust, right? And so,
yeah,
in I don't know how we can help our fellow citizens, when it comes to food because we're all feeling it. But I think we can at least acknowledge that they're not the only ones feeling the pinch, I guess,
yes.
so to speak. They're not the only ones feeling the pinch.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even the newbies to the work world, like my daughter, she just got her first job, and she's like, "Mom, this gas is too high." So she's even, thinking of ways to cut down her cost. Well, I guess her free social time with her car. So she's economizing. Whereas the time she didn't have to, she can just her car is the cheap. It's a Honda, so it doesn't take much gas or anything. So she can drive around the world with it. But it's even impacting her and her minimal budget that she can't do some of the things that she used to do because of the gas prices. So gas is really hitting home and hitting hard. Even the Uber drivers, those who drive for a living, right? So their costs are going up significantly, where it's cutting into their profits of doing service type jobs because they're paying more in gas, and that's cutting to their profits that they typically make when they're doing their deliveries or whatever things that they do with their cars. So this gas prices is a huge pain point, and again a huge hot topic, and we wanted to just bring it to the surface, acknowledge that we're aware of it and we're feeling the same pain, and we're right there with you. So
Right there, and the back and forth, and maybe this is an opportunity for corporate America to say, you know what, we all feel it, no matter again what level you are on, and give people an opportunity to, because a lot of people have gone back to the office, and they're requiring people to come back into the office 3 days a week, 4 days a week, some 5 days a week. Allow
yeah,
people to cut back on that in order to help them, save and maybe budget a little bit differently now that the gas prices are where they are. So I don't know, it's just another opportunity for corporate America to say, we also hear you, see you, and we understand what's going on around you and the climate and the environment around us. Here's what we're willing to do to help kind of shelter some of that burden. and help.
Yes, yes, corporate America. So that's the next hot topic,
It is.
right?
It is.
Some corporate Americans are saying, look, don't even come back to work. We don't even need you. So
And that's not a
especially
laughing matter. I shouldn't laugh at
it's
that, but you're right.
not.
But
A lot of these big corporations, right? So Amazon, what, 16,000? I mean, just every week you're hearing of a corporation laying people off, right? So how are people adjusting? How are people navigating this space of this constant layoffs? Well, one of the things that because, I'm always keeping abreast of what's going on is that people are reinventing themselves, right? So
yes,
one of the ways that people are reinventing themselves is that, it's less now about their credentials and it's more about their credibility. So what
yes,
some people are starting to do, just like in the dating world, right? You just put yourself out there and shoot your shot. So what some people are doing, they're just putting themselves out there. They're taking all that experience, all that knowledge, all that expertise, and they're just putting it out there on social platforms and just letting the world know that, hey, I can do, I'm gifted, I'm talented, I can do all sorts of things. Um, and this is who I am. And so as a result of that, they're actually getting doors open to them. So in other words, instead of finding a job, they're allowing jobs to find them, and they could come in all different shapes and sizes, meaning contract work, consulting work, fractional work, advisory, all types of things. So that's one of the things that I'm starting to notice is people are starting to let their work speak for themselves in terms of how they think, how they solve problems, and it doesn't matter what the field is. People are out there. I mean, I'm seeing all sorts of things on social media where people are saying, even career, how to navigate corporate America, how to navigate conflict, how to navigate AI, all the things that people used to do in their corporate world. They're just putting them out on the market, and we're literally becoming a digital cottage industry again, or not again, or a version of a cottage industry, but it's a more digital one. But people are out here turning those cameras on, turning those phones on, and they're just putting their skills and talents out there for the world to see and witness. So I don't know what you're seeing, Pamela.
yeah, that's really good that you said that because that's how we got here, right? Because we had to make a pivot and putting ourselves out here, right? And so it's not easy to show up every week with conversation and hot topics and talking about things that sometimes that's uncomfortable, but it's what's really going on. And if we can bring some comfort and um allowing people to know that they're not alone and going through whatever their experience is, then I'm here for it. I'm here to help people navigate through these different, or this is the different environment that we're in. We have not seen this before, right? Where, I mean, masses of people are losing their jobs. I mean, you would hear
Yes.
layoffs here and there, but these are masses of people that are losing jobs. And so, again, to your point, Debbie, just having to reinvent yourself
Mhm.
and taking those skill sets and figuring out a way that now you can use those to because corporate America, they have equipped us with things that we probably wouldn't have had the experience of learning on our own. And so now that you can take those experiences and put them out there for to reinvent
Mhm.
yourself. And so what I'm seeing is um I'll use LinkedIn for example, where you used to see like paragraph job descriptions of what you did and blah blah blah. So now they have a skill section. So it doesn't necessarily matter what your role exactly to the T and you describing it, but the different skill sets you've acquired in that role. And so because now that you can take those, a lot of these skill sets are transferable, right? So you go from one
Right.
industry to another. And so, it's good that we have that ability where, no, someone's not focused on your line item. Oh, you managed, I don't know, whatever it might be. But now that people say, oh, wow, they have people skills, they have project management, they have product management, they have agile, they have AI, and, collaboration, or whatever, it might be that may help you make that transition from one industry to another. So hopefully that's helping people being able to put skills out over bullets. Again, credibility versus credential. That's
Mhm.
a prime example of credibility versus credential.
Yeah, and another place where I see people taking those skills, they're starting businesses with them, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of boomers that are retiring and they're letting go their businesses. And so a lot of the corporate employees that have all the skill sets on how to manage a company are taking those same skill sets and managing a business. They may be buying a laundromat, they may be buying a coffee shop, or they may be buying a Shopify store or creating one, or they may be Amazon, selling Amazon. Becoming merchants, digital merchants, or e-commerce merchants on Amazon. But there are so many opportunities to pivot and so many different directions you can go into. You just got to kind of sit with yourself and say, now you like the chains are off, and now you can say, what do I really want? What did I want before I got this corporate job and I settled into it and got very, very comfortable like a fat rat. What was my dream? What was my vision of who I wanted to be when I grew up, right? So some people are starting to go back into those dreams and those after they, get through the shock of losing their job. Um, but they're starting to go back into their childhood or just their futuristic dreams, the dreams they had when they were younger, and saying, what do I really want to do? I've kind of shaped and morphed myself into this corporate professional. Um, but I'm more than that. I'm creative. I'm so much more creative. I'm so much more bigger. I'm so much more I'm you know um, revolutionary. Let me evolve into who I really wanted to be. And so as a result of just sitting with oneself and kind of unpacking, the past and looking into the futures, people were like, "Look, I'm going to try something different." When I was in corporate, they had so much control. I didn't realize it, but they had so much control over my identity and who I was, and also my livelihood, my way of living. And so some people are like, you know what? It was too risky working. Like, I'll do it again, but you know what? I need to CYA. I need to cover myself, and maybe having my own business, being the boss myself, be a nice cushion, a nice hedge against, being put in that position. And then you have some people that says, I don't even want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to have anything to do. I just want to show up, collect my paycheck and go home, you know. And so, unfortunately, the people who are insistent on just getting another job alone are really struggling because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Who Moved My Cheese, but the cheese has been moved, right? And it looks very different. And so doing the same thing, repeatedly expecting different results is a definition of insanity. And so what some people are seeing, they're becoming very frustrated because they're trying the same thing over and over and over again, and they're not getting any results. If anything, they're just getting highly frustrated. So, so there is another way. There's so many different ways we just talked about. You could just that's a chat GPT search. What are different ways? Like one of the things what I've discovered is people can take their resume, put it in ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, what can I do with all the skill sets that I have? Either a side hustle or business or even just change my title, do something else. And ChatGPT will give you a whole host of things that you can do, you can pivot into, and you can explore, just so you can break the mindset of my job is my only source of income because what is seen in today's market, that's no longer the case. It's actually getting worse, especially with AI in terms of not that like someone said, it's not that AI going to take the jobs. It's those who know how to manage the people who run AI or use manage or use AI are the ones that's going to get the job. So again, we're in a state of pivoting. We're in a state of things are changing. Things have changed. They're not going back the way they used to be, where you can just go to school, graduate, and get a job and stay there for 30 years and retire. That's even, there are jobs coming without any benefits. Like they'll hire you, but you get zero benefits. So how are we adjusting to today's market and today's demands? We have to adjust. If we don't adjust, we're gonna get buried under, some people unfortunately will fall into depression,
Mhm.
right? And they start internalizing and take it personally that I'm not good enough and I'm not deserving. But the devil is a lie,
Yeah.
right? It's just a matter of getting in the right room with the right people, forming those partnerships and community. Get around community, get around people who are dealing with the same issues, and you can all rise together. So I don't know, Pamela, what you got?
No, that was really, really good. And so I wrote down a couple of things that you said that I want to recap on you lose your identity in corporate America. And not every job, but I definitely could attest to say that I felt like I lost my identity because when you want to come with your creative skills and ability and offer something, oftentimes it's disregarded because they have you executing on what they want to execute.
Mm.
And I will also say that, we have been afforded the ability when we decided to move away, to implement some of our creativity and explore some of the things that we've been wanting to do because to your point, Debbie, when we're in a 9 to 5, your time is literally taken up by your job. And you're
Mm.
just trying to make it to Friday, and then the weekend comes, and then you're trying to get ready for Monday, and then it just turns into a cycle. And so, you asked about what are some of the things that you wanted to do that you weren't able to do while you had your corporate job. And I actually
Mhm.
had a conversation with someone where I said, I'm more powerful now
Ooh,
outside of corporate America than I was in. You think about all the things that, I've been able to, and just in a short amount of time, we were able to do the podcast. That wouldn't have been afforded to us because at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we
I
would have been
know
on a
that's
conference
right.
call somewhere or something. So it just, your time is just consumed. And then,
Mm.
you have your family commitments and then things like that. I've been able to start a garden. When would I
Mm.
have time to have done
I
something
know,
like
right?
that?
Yeah,
you know? And then I was able to take some classes. I would not have had the capacity to do that. And so I'm grateful in that way that I've been able to explore some of the things that I have been wanting to do for some time, and being able to execute on that and
yeah,
just getting somewhat out of that rat race of you're just going from one call to next call to next call to next call,
mm,
next call. And so again, there's some people who enjoy that. That's great.
yeah,
But for those who, you already had some other entrepreneurial activities going on outside of work,
yeah,
it just allowed that space to now open and expand
yeah,
and do more exploring on scaling that business. And so that's what, my time has allowed me to do. And so,
yeah,
my nervous system's calmer now.
yeah.
And it's just not this heightened of, oh my God, what's next? I got to get this, I got to get this, I got to get that. And so even going back into a corporate space, I've had time now to assess and
Mm.
reassess. And so I would approach it differently.
Mm.
And knowing that I have some power. You don't always have this power over me. I have some power.
Agency. Yeah,
Agency. Yes.
yeah. You have agency. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. And
yeah,
so hopefully this conversation will employ other listeners that take your agency, take your power. It's
yeah,
okay. We're going to be
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Even those who emphatically don't want to be an entrepreneur, and you don't. Entrepreneur is not for everybody. They just want to, again, go to work, get their paycheck, and go home. Unfortunately, the days of just going to work, get your paycheck is over. It is so over. You know, and the way you have to look at it is that even if you do get another job where you just go in and you get your paycheck and leave, you're still an entrepreneur, because now the company is not taking responsible for you and your future.
Mm.
You are your own agent. You're your own, you
Yes.
you you are your own it's self-preservation now. You are an individual that's happened to work at this job company. They can let you go at any moment, any time, any hour. So you have to take fully charge of your own career, your own future. No more relying on the company, right?
Mhm.
So that's where the entrepreneur, even though you don't want to be an entrepreneur, when you come back into the job market, everybody's an entrepreneur. They just happen to be working for somebody else. So
Mhm.
there has to be a mindset shift. Or if you go back into the job market thinking that they're going to care for you, they're going to nurture and care and all the things, you're going to be, first of all, you're not even going to get in, because if you come in with that mindset, they're using AI to deter and detract that mindset. Anybody, even with the applications and stuff like that, there's a system that they're using that's looking to pick up that kind of mindset and that kind of behavior. And then of course when you go to the interviews, then it just heightens up another level. But they're even preventing people from even getting through the door with that mindset that, oh, I'm going to come to the company, I'm going to hang out for 20 years, 30 years, and they're going to care and nurture me. No, not at all. They want you to come in as a contributor, as a your own agent. You're even though you're going to support and service them as a client, you're on your own. You
Mm,
know, you are solely and strictly, and that's a hard pill to swallow for
mm,
those baby boomers and Gen Xers. That's a very hard pill to swallow, but that's the reality we're living in. And until we do the mindset shift, you're going to be constantly looking for a job. Or if you do find something, it's going to be something that's, far less than where you are and where your skill sets are, and you're not going to be happy, right? People who take jobs like that are like, making half the pay, doing twice the job, they're very unhappy. So there has to be a mindset shift at some point that the ways of working in the past are gone.
mm.
They're gone, gone, gone. And a lot of the companies that are kicking out all these employees, they're kicking, unfortunately, the people who've been there for a while. The old timers, the ones with the old mindset. They're trying to cleanse and kick out and try to bring in a new set of thinkers and behaviors and stuff like that. So it's just interesting. We're in interesting times.
We are. But I think those were good and poignant points that you made, and that we're giving food for thought for people to,
Yes.
take their power back and be your own agent, right? And we're not neglecting the fact that we know that people need money to survive and
Yes.
people need resources. But now that we've all kind of been shaken up a little bit by this whole idea of AI taking your job, or you may have lost your job, whatever the case may be, if you do go back into the workplace, now you have to set your life up different. Where
Yes.
you may have spent every dime of your paycheck, you got to do it different now.
Yes.
You only spend 30% or whatever however you need to allocate it, but just going in with a different mindset and keeping your debt down as low as possible, because there could be an upset at any time. And I think that's the one
Mhm.
thing. And if you don't know, if you're not given a heads up, the rug's pulled from underneath you, and then you're just like, well, wait,
Yeah.
this wasn't what I was expecting. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll just add one last thing.
Sure.
And I'll get off my soapbox, but one of the advantages you can come in if you come in with your own power and your own agency. Again, it's not that AI is taking job. It's the people who know AI, know how to manage the people who are using AI that that are getting the job. So if you want to get back in the work world, my one advice is just to learn AI. Just learn AI,
Mhm.
start applying it, use it as a day-to-day tool. Right
Mhm.
now we're in a space where jobs just want you to just be familiar with it. Even if they're not when you look at the job market, they're not asking for huge degrees in AI certified AI degrees, anything. They're looking for certificates. They're looking for knowledge base. Do you even have a knowledge of what AI is and how to use it and how to apply it?
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I'm such a nerd myself. I'm starting to learn Python. When I was in college, I learned Fortran and some old languages. So, but just learn the language. That's really all they want you to do is learn the AI language. If you could just take the time, learn it, and practice it, I guarantee you'll land some opportunities quick,
Yeah.
fast, and hurry. Just adjust, just pivot and adjust, learn the new language, and get back in there and get back out there.
And one last thing on that, Debbie, for people who are like, but I don't know what that means. Where do I start? I think everyone at this point is familiar with ChatGPT, Claude, some of the AI tools. Literally put it in there. Where do I start? How do I get familiar with AI tools?
Yes.
Let them tell you step by step. Find some
Mm-hmm.
free courses. There may be some
Yep.
free things out there, and just start there. Just start there.
Yep.
And
It'll give you a whole training plan too. They'll tell
yeah,
you that's how I got one. It give you a whole training plan. It'll tell you where to go, who to reach out. They'll give you the expensive plans, the cheap plans, the low no cost, but they'll give you a plan. So if you like Pamela said, if you start there, get active, and you'll be okay. You'll be
yeah.
okay. All right. That's all I
So
have.
that's it. Me too. I know it was a little bit longer than what we anticipated. We called it a 15-minute stand up to again bring a corporate into our podcast. We used to have these daily calls, 15-minute stand ups, but just again wanted to come out and talk to our listeners and just let them know we're with them in the trenches.
Yeah.
And we're here to support and share advice and knowledge, anything that we can that will hopefully help and equip people or empower people, not even equip, but empower them to move forward in this
Yep.
time. So, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and we'll
Yep.
talk again soon.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.